Francisco and Luca, please take it away.
Thanks, Rachel. Happy Friday, everyone. I'll be sharing my screen. Really delighted to be back at CERN, even if it's virtually, to present our open opportunities and our company as a whole. So yeah, we are here today to present Amazon Web Services, which is the cloud computing branch of Amazon. As the title said, we are looking for builders or IT profiles that, well, not exclusively IT profiles, of course. There are a number of open roles in our company, but in the end, we are a community of builders that are building the next generation of cloud services. So in the agenda for today, we have a quick presentation on our backgrounds and trajectories. So you can, we eventually landed in AWS. Some notes on the company culture, how we work as AWS and how we work with public sector customers, some open roles in our teams, and then of course, we'd like to hear from you. So there will be time for Q&A. All right, so yeah, about me. Rachel already presented me, but I'm Francisco. I'm a CERN alumnus, so I worked in the IT department in the communication systems group for 7.5 years. So I left just 2 years ago in 2020, and since then I've been working in Amazon Web Services as a manager for a team of solutions architects. Solutions architects are technical profiles that become our customers' technical trusted advisor when it comes to their cloud journey. They help them in removing any kind of technical obstacles so they can succeed in the digital transformation. Prior to joining CERN, my background is in telecommunications engineering. I worked in multiple roles in the Spanish telecom industry, mostly related to voice over IP. So yeah, I guess, what helped me in my, or what helped me in getting my current job in Amazon Web Services was my curiosity and willingness to learn. In the end, the cloud ecosystem is a vibrant ecosystem in which there are multiple technical trends. So if you're passionate about technology, this is definitely a company that could fill your needs. And now over to Luca.
Hello everyone, happy Friday from me as well. So I'm Luca. I'm not a CERN alumnus. Originally from Italy, I've been in different IT infrastructure roles for most of my career. But originally I started in training, and I started teaching networking concepts, so mostly around Cisco technologies. I did it in Italy for the better part of 5 years back then. And in 2015, I decided to move out of Italy. I joined VMware, a data center virtualization company, where I was a content developer and trainer for them for a couple of years. And then in 2017, I joined AWS. Also in training roles, but there, I developed a bit more my career, and and right now I'm a solutions architect manager, similar role to the one Francisco has, dedicated to intergovernmental organizations. We're gonna talk a bit more about them later on, but these are organizations that are spanning multiple nations across the world, so mostly aligned to entities, agencies from the European Union, from the United Nations, and I lead a team that's working with those customers to effectively make an impact to the population of Earth at this point. And this is not an exaggeration. This is actually what the agency's missions are going to be about. This is my background, and I want to also introduce us to a bit more about the Amazon culture and the AWS specific culture. So this is going to be, thank you, Francisco. This is going to be about how we approach things and how we look at the technology for our customers, on behalf of our customers. So if we go to the next slide, I'll be again sharing a bit about the characteristics of how we work. We are a technology company. AWS is a technology company at the end of the day. But the whole idea of how we are using this technology to support our customers is based on the customer feedback, or as you see here, the customer centricity. The whole idea around the approach that AWS has and solutions architect have, as Francisco was mentioning, is to be the customer's trusted advisor. We do not like to trade off short-term gains. We don't want to have shorter games. We would like to very much to trade off those for long-term vision. And this is how our teams operate. We build trust with the customer. We work through their challenges. We work through their complexities to really build a relationship with them that allows them to accelerate and develop their businesses in the future. And this is especially true with, for example, our customers or the customers from my team, because intergovernmental organizations are organizations that require a lot of vision, a lot of introspection into technology trends, because usually they're not so responsive to this type of inputs from the market. And again, we are there to support the customers. We provide them with this technical advisory that helps them into accelerating through the future. So if we can go to this next slide. In Amazon and in AWS, there is this concept of day one, and day one is basically a proxy to say we're always curious and we'll never settle on our current state or status quo. There's always a challenge to be approached. There's always new angles through which we can solve problems for our customers. So we look very much into building teams that are fast in their decision-making capabilities, that they are comfortable with decisions that are reversible. We call them two-way door decisions in this sense, because we identified and we know that speed of decision-making and ownership of decision-making, and also creating an environment where it's okay to gather feedback after decisions, is what progresses customers and what progresses also companies forward. So when we are supporting this, we create, and both of our teams are a representation of that. We create teams that are fast in making decisions, and they're comfortable in reversing decisions in case they are not working out. And this is a way for us also to maintain the kind of a curious approach. There's no tribal knowledge that's going to stay too long in AWS, and of course, this is something that we transmit to our customers as well. Next slide. So this in Amazon is translated into, I would say, a framework of how we work together. These are called the leadership principles. I'm not going to read through all of them, but basically these are tenets that we use to identify how we operate on behalf of our customers, and what do they represent. And this is a part of the Amazon culture in a way that allows us to work on a rubric that's common to pretty much everyone at Amazon, and specifically at AWS. So the business teams are across, and the ecosystem is wide, but AWS is as we were discussing before, is a technology company, and is providing cloud services for customers, and it's part of the bigger ecosystem of Amazon solutions, and Alexa, Amazon Prime, Fire hardware divisions is part of that. So we can go to the next slide. In our culture, there is a specific focus to also affinity groups and creating allowing individuals to express themselves and across multiple different dimensions. So as you can see here, there is plenty of groups. People, when joining Amazon, can participate to and can become an ally to. And again, this helps us to create this kind of environment where we are very happy to work together and to collaborate together. So this is up to you, Francisco.
Yeah, thanks, Luca. So after this quick introduction to the Amazon culture, I'll be introducing what we do in AWS or Amazon Web Services. So as Luca said, we are a technology company. We provide cloud computing services, and we are the cloud computing pioneers. We launched our platform in 2006, so it's been 16 years of successfully operating a growing platform, and now we are proud to say that thanks to the feedback that we constantly receive from our customers, we now offer over 200 fully featured services, IT services for our customers, which make us suitable for almost or probably all IT workloads that any companies want to move from their data centers to the cloud. These combined with some essential parts of the Amazon culture, like the day one mentality, allow us to have the fastest pace of innovation in the industry. But we are not alone in this journey. We have a large community of customers and partners that support us. We constantly gather feedback from customers, and also we enable a network of local partners here in Europe for us to deliver our services to customers. Other than that, one thing, one saying that we hear from our leadership constantly is that there's no compression algorithm for experience, and that is translated into that as we have been operating a cloud platform of a worldwide scale for a very long time, we have the most proven operational expertise, and our platform is the most secure because we've learned as we grew. We can, that's where it comes, the fact that there's no compression algorithm for experience. We have learned from building this platform, from being the first one building a cloud computing platform. So yeah, when it comes to that global infrastructure, we deliver these services from multiple locations around the globe. We try to be where our customers are, and we have been expanding our global footprint. Currently, we have 84 availability zones. These availability zones are a set of multiple data centers that together form what we call regions. These regions are made up of 3 or more availability zones that allow our customers to build highly available and reliable applications in the cloud. And as we constantly expand, there are announced plans for another 24 availability zones and 8 more regions coming. So yeah, it's exciting. And actually, as we were preparing for this event, we heard of another CERN alumnus, Carlos, who's working in delivering the networking services for this global AWS infrastructure. I'm not sure he could make it today. He said maybe he could, but I think he's registered in the CERN Alumni platform. So feel free to reach out to him if you have any questions related to how we operate such a massive global infrastructure. All right, and now over to Luca on public sector.
Yeah, I was looking at the list of participants. I found him. Hey, and he's now chatting with us. So that's.
Oh, sorry.
That's no, so on the public sector, this is part of one set of our customers. As you can imagine, cloud infrastructure services are compelling technology platform for pretty much anyone who has IT solutions at the moment. And public sector, as I was mentioning before, they are customers who have specific requirements, specifically, also even more specific in case of my team. But when we look at AWS and the support that the public sector has from AWS, we like to cluster this kind of customers across many different categorizations and dimensions, as I said. So there's going to be government or intergovernment, as again my team is working on. The education space, so universities, high schools, colleges across the globe. They're gonna have IT needs. Then the no-profits and the healthcare space. These are 4 of the major clusters where again we develop specific teams. We have developed specific teams, specific solutions dedicated to the needs of those customers. Again, one thing that I wanna again go back to is the fact that public sector customers do interject a lot of different capabilities if you look at them in comparison with commercial customers or for profit, I would say, companies. And of course, most of the experience we've seen is about creating an environment or creating a collaboration with those entities that allows IT teams in this space, which again might be slow to adopt new trends, to feel comfortable into experimentation. And again, this is one of the key unlockers that cloud provides in general, having the ability to lower the risk of experimentation at the end of the day. The cloud consumption model, which is I can simplify here in a pay-per-use kind of approach, allows and has as a promise the teams to again experiment and submit complex technology requests to the platform and learn out of those in order to provide better services to the customers. And again, cloud interjects this need also for public sector, and our teams are working towards building trust with these entities to make sure that also the services that they provide to citizens, to their students, to people that are under their protection, or to patients in general, are again benefiting from this digital revolution that we all see around us. In the case of our team, again, the intergovernmental organizations, specifically across the European Union and the UN space, our team deals with massive scale IT projects that literally span the globe, and they have an impact on the life of hundreds of millions of people. Having said that, maybe Francisco, you want to move forward to the roles that we have?
Yeah, thanks, Luca, for introducing your team working on intergovernmental organizations. Just to add a bit on what my team does, they are teams that work really close to each other, but my team focuses on new customers to the cloud, customers that haven't yet started that cloud journey, that digital transformation. So my team specializes in bringing customers in all these 4 verticals all around EMEA, so Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And we operate from 3 main hubs in Manchester, Dublin, and Madrid, where I'm based. So yeah, this is just to give a bit of context on some of the requirements we have for the roles we are going to be presenting today. Of course, these are just open roles in our teams, but if you visit the Amazon.jobs website, you will find many opportunities, but feel free to reach out to me in the CERN Alumni platform. I am open for any direct messages, and we'll be happy to answer your questions if your profiles don't match the ones that we are advertising today. As you've seen, Amazon and AWS are global companies with multiple positions around the globe. So it's, you can filter by location if you're looking at moving to a specific country. You can also filter by job family. There are many different kind of job families, such as software development engineer, data scientist, or solutions architect, which is the one we are presenting today. If you're interested in commercial or sales roles, there are roles like account managers, business development managers, program managers. So yeah, it's a lot of exciting opportunities, and our website is constantly adding more. So as I said, my team focuses on the one hand, bringing these new customers to the cloud, helping them in their journey, unlocking any blockers, and helping them change their mentality when it comes to working with IT services on premises to working with IT services in the cloud. And we help European citizens and, well, also Middle East and African citizens, of course, to run their services on the cloud. So there are many applications that you use today that are probably running on top of AWS. But that's only one of the goals of my team. The second goal is to increase diversity in the IT industry. And for that purpose, we are constantly onboarding early career talent, technical talent into my team. And we do that through a program that it's called AWS Tech U, like Technical University. You can check the public website that it's linked in this slide. And this program consists of a 6-month PET residency program, and we are onboarding currently 2 cohorts per year in multiple sites across Europe, but mainly from Manchester, Madrid, or virtually. During the 6 months in this residency program, residents go through a project-based learning that complements the foundational IT knowledge that they usually get in university in degrees like telecommunications, computer science, mathematics. So we are bringing candidates from STEM backgrounds and helping them bridge the gap with or in terms of cloud skills. So during this project-based learning, they will be solving real-world problems and challenges. Some of them affect public sector organizations in Europe. So early on, they get that exposure to working with this kind of problems. And they also work in technical sprints in which they initially learn on cloud fundamentals, but also on other advanced topics such as big data, Internet of Things, machine learning, and disaster recovery. Anything that runs in the cloud is mostly covered in this program. So it's an exciting opportunity for early or recent graduates for us to eventually become solutions architects. What happens after those 6 months and after graduation is that they join my team, in which we gradually provide them an environment in which they can also work on their soft skills. So in the end, solutions architects are meeting customers on a regular basis. We are not a sales team, we are a technical team, but we need to polish our presentation skills, how we speak with customers. So that's provided also in the team. And as I said, our current focus is on the one hand, diversity in many dimensions, but also as my team operates in all of EMEA, we are currently hiring candidates that have English as vehicular language, but with an additional European language. And that's because we have realized that our customers, especially in public sector, sometimes feel more comfortable with speaking with us in their native languages. So I think this is an exciting opportunity for early career IT professionals who are looking to join the cloud industry and understand what it's like from the inside. And now I'll hand over to Luca.
Yeah, in this case, from my team perspective, our work with the organizations I was mentioning before is more becoming again focused on becoming a change agent for these big organizations to adopt the cloud and in general adopt a digital strategy. And as you see here, this is QR code which has our roles listed, and there are a few differences from the roles that Francisco has just described, as in we do not have a specific language requirement. So of course beneficial to have a secondary native language in the European space, but most of our work is done in English. And it's interesting, what we're looking at as an account solution architect is really to become, and I like this definition, the CTO in-house for the customer in AWS, meaning having both this view on the strong technology background and strong technology overview, 360-degree in enterprise IT, and also having I would say a business acumen. That's probably a buzzword, but having to look at the complexities of managing such big and tectonic shift on organizations.Moving to the cloud is not an easy endeavor that can be executed in a couple of weeks. It's a cultural change for a lot of organizations, and this requires really looking around corners, as we like to say here at Amazon, but also earning a lot of trust with the customers. And a solution architect in the IGO team starts with a strong technical background, complements this technology background with this ability of looking across complexities in organizations, and then helps the customers by being their technical advisor, by being there in a multi-year potentially strategy to adopt the cloud and to, again, I go back, serve their customers, or shouldn't be use the word customer, serve their citizens to with digital services that improve meaningfully life of, as I said, hundreds of millions. And it all goes through the technology stream. We cannot deny that fact. And in our team, we're looking for people who has this kind of a 360-degree view and is, of course, technologist, but complements that technology background with skills around being a change agent, being a change management agent in their companies. So as I said, this is a QR code. If you're interested, you can take a picture of it or scan it to go straight into the roles I'm hiring for across Europe in different locations. To be honest, we're pretty flexible on the location. So there's going to be some travel involved, of course. Most of our work is still done virtually, but we welcome candidates from anywhere. So very happy to have a discussion with some of you about it.
Great, thanks, Luca. And just to add to this, other than the early career talent profiles that I'm looking for, I also have a number of open roles for tenured IT professionals. The main languages I'm looking for currently are Finnish, Dutch, Italian, Polish, or Portuguese. So if you know of anybody who has an interest in moving to the cloud, has a solid IT background, and I think more importantly, one key skill for solutions architects is related to one of the leadership principles that Luca presented. That one is learn and be curious. And I think, I mentioned initially the reason for me to moving from CERN to AWS is because I wanted to learn more. I wanted to dive deeper into this industry, understanding how it's changing, all of our IT environment globally. So of course, we are in for some of these roles, we will require having cloud knowledge, but in some cases it's enough with solid IT understanding and the willingness to learn and continue expanding on that knowledge. And for being a successful solutions architect inside AWS, we have a 3-month ramp-up period during which solutions architects get to understand more the role. They don't work with customers in their first 3 months. They can focus on learning technology. But after that, it's a never-ending process of learning new stuff. As I presented, we have over 200 different services. Some of them are really advanced and related to very complex fields like machine learning, quantum computing, Internet of Things. So, what I really like about this is that we hire solutions architects that are generalists. They can work in multiple domains, but over time, we see them specializing and taking one of these paths, right? Becoming an IoT specialist solutions architect that focuses on Internet of Things, or a migrations specialist that focuses in helping customers that have large footprints of IT services on premises that they want to move to the cloud. Those are some examples, and today we are only presenting a very small subset of all open opportunities in AWS. So I just want to reiterate this again. If you see any role in the Amazon Jobs website, you're unsure of the requirements, just feel free to reach out to me on the alumni platform. I'll be happy to answer to your messages. Sometimes when I have several candidates reaching out to me, I set office hours so we can meet over a coffee chat and discuss this. So yeah, really happy to help anyone who's interested in understanding more about this industry to meet me. And we would like also to hear questions from you.
As Francisco said, it's time to open up the floor to your questions. We have a question here from Pablo, who is asking, how many interviews are there and how long is the process?
Luca, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure, no problem. So the interview process is actually made in basically, I would say, 3 phases, so to speak. The first one is, of course, you're applying. This is going to kick off our recruiters process, and they're going to contact you and get a generic understanding of your roles and responsibilities. And then this moves you to the second phase. And the second phase is our first, as we call it, phone screen, or it's a phone interview. This phone interview is generally done by another solutions architect in the teams you're applying to, or maybe in different teams. And it's going to be a technical interview. This technical interview covers your technology scope, and is important to understand and gauge the level, or the technical level that the candidate has. And if this first interview is successful, then we move to the third phase. And the third phase is what we call internally the loop. But basically it's a interviewing panel. The candidate is going to go through a series of interviews with different people from Amazon and from AWS, not necessarily in the same team again, the candidate is applying to. And this allows, and these interviews are going to be around behavioral questions, or behavioral type of understanding, which means, you remember when we were discussing about the leadership principles before? The leadership principles is this rubric, this framework that allows people in AWS to work with common kind of tenets or common, I would say, guidelines. And again, the interviewing process in this phase is going to be around evaluating the candidate's ability to respond to this rubric. Generally speaking, it can be 4 or 5 interviews done by 4 or 5 different people. Then after these interviews have been executed, usually over the course of a couple of days, the panel gets back together. We compare notes. We dive deep into the data that was provided in the interview, and then we make a decision either to hire the candidate or not hire the candidate. So it's, as I said, it's a 3-phase process, one phone interview, and then there's going to be the panel. It's kind of generically how the process pans out for the solutions architecture roles.
Great, thank you. We have another question from Danica. So it's a question about work-life balance in Amazon.
Yeah, thanks, Rachel. I'll take this one. When we hire profiles, we are looking at our leadership principles, as Luca said, right? One important leadership principles for us is ownership, and that means that you own the activities that you engage with. So as a solutions architect, for example, you decide on which projects you will be working. There's no micromanaging. I've never been told in which initiatives, internal company initiatives or projects with customers I should be engaged with. It's me who owns that time. And I guess to be completely transparent, that can be a risk sometimes. We are individuals that are really driven by to deliver results, to move fast, to do great things. And especially working from home, it can be sometimes challenging to find the right time to disconnect. But I think, as a manager, I always encourage my team to put in practice work-life balance measures, to block their calendars after a certain time, especially if they are working in global projects, so they won't be reached by teams working in the United States, for example. And, I think the company is also reflecting on this globally. We need to adapt to a new work environment, a new job environment, and we actually added 2 new leadership principles that I invite you to read in our webpage. One of them is strive to be Earth's best employer, which basically states that as a company, we are constantly reevaluating the way we do things. That's part of our day one culture. As Luca said, we, even if we are a large company, each team operates as a small startup. So we have the freedom to build our teams in the way that we like, to start thinking of new ways in which we can work with our customers. But also we can implement at the team level new ways of working, new policies for us to be more efficient, but also to serve better our our employees. And the second leadership principle that I'd also like to highlight is one that is really exciting for me. It's success and scale bring broad responsibility. And this one means that even if we started as a small startup, we are no longer working from a garage. So we need to be accountable for, and we need to understand the impact that we have in society. One area that I'm particularly concerned about is sustainability. And as a solutions architect, I also work with customers, and I'm joining one of our internal technical field communities, which is around environmental sustainability. And actually, by moving your workloads to the cloud, you can save energy and move to cleaner energy mixes, because as we build our new data centers, our new regions, they are powered by green energy that we generate. We are investing, and we are one of the companies investing in green energy across the planet. I'd say one of the most, or in terms of investment, but also the way we design our data centers is more efficient than the way smaller scale data centers are, due to economies of scale, but also we manage to be more efficient when it comes to cooling our data centers. But yeah, I think I'm going off topic there, and I see there's more questions.
Thank you very much. So I hope that answered Danika's question. We have Danilo. So the question here is, well, first of all, thank you very much for the presentation. And is it possible to work remotely, even within the same country?
I'll take this one. So short version, yes. Slightly longer version is, yeah, we don't have a prescriptive guidance in AWS in terms of where you want to work. Again, it goes back to what Francisco was saying. Every team is free to organize their work the way they see fit better for their efficiency, for their customers. Meaning that we have several different locations across Europe, but there's no requirement to go to the office. One of the challenges we have found in this hopefully post-COVID era is how to build team spirits around. If we're all working remotely, this is an area where all of us are still learning a lot. But from a policy perspective, again, you're welcome to work wherever you see fit in terms of capabilities and within the country you are hired in. Again, every team has this freedom, and again, my team, for example, is free to work from home as much time as they want.
Yeah, just to add to that, we are primarily working from home. For Spain, it's a bit different because we have local tax regulations that, this is not an Amazon constraint, but it's more like a country constraint. In some countries, we can offer virtual locations. Spain is not one of those. So either you can work in the Madrid or Barcelona office and you need to live within the region, but that's just for tax reasons. And well, if you've worked and lived around the CERN area, you might understand that sometimes taxes are quite complex.
Thank you. Just following up from that, you mentioned in your presentation that you accept applications from everyone. So I understand there that Amazon is able to take care of, say, non-EU work permits and things like that. Is that correct?
Yes, in some cases, if the role allows, I think that's advertised publicly, but I need to double check. But in some cases, we sponsor visas for non-EU nationals. Yeah.
Processes are different depending on which location you're applying to, because that's going to be based in the system of the country the location is going to be based on. Again, we cannot offer a generic remote. It's going to be based in where Amazon has offices. But yeah, that's a general guidance.
Great. Thanks very much. So we now have a question from Michele. So from Michele, it's how is the productivity evaluation made? And then there's a second part, and do you offer fringe benefits?
I'll go first. So on the fringe benefits, again, it goes back into the conversation we were having before in terms of locations. So generally, I am not aware that we offer, for example, a company car. or something like this. But it has to be that there are some countries which have an extensive, for example, meal voucher policy, things like that. Honestly, it really depends on where the position is going to be opened up. So more details are going to be on the specific cases. From the productivity side of things, yeah, again, it goes back to the concept of maintaining teams' independency and ability to identify what are the priorities for our customers at the end of the day. So there is not a blanket type of approach across every team, identifies what productive, what success looks like, and executes against that.
Yeah, exactly. Just to add on that, well, as Luca mentioned, his team focuses on larger intergovernmental accounts, and the kind of work you do with those is a bit different than the kind of work that you can do in my team, which is a larger number of smaller customers that are starting their journey to the cloud. But I think what's common to solutions architect roles, which are the roles that are we presenting today, is that we try to find profiles that work in three main areas, and I'll elaborate on this. So the first area is direct customer impact. So working with customers and removing those technical obstacles that we were mentioning. And that's usually done on a one-to-one basis. We meet them, we discuss their journey to the cloud, what's blocking them, how can we help them, and how we can help them do that in a more efficient, reliable, and cost-efficient way. The second part is what we call thought leadership, which is not influencing an individual customer only, but creating content that helps the industry understand how they can build new services on top of the AWS. I'm putting one example of this content in the chat, and this had the collaboration of one of the solutions architects in my team. This is with Radboud University Center, in which we helped them creating medical imaging analysis platform for tomography data. So it's really exciting to see the real world impact. And I invite you to also visit our public AWS blog, specifically on the public sector part, sustainability, any topics you're passionate about, you can check the kind of work that we are doing, because that's the kind of work that you could be doing tomorrow. And on the third area, we are a company that's continuously growing, and some of our processes need to be revised. So we measure also how solutions architects help us change our internal processes, how they can think critically of the way we operate, how they can propose new ways of working, and also how they mentor others. I think that's a critical part for, joining Amazon. In all the roles, everyone's helping you out and available to set up a quick call and help you with your development, which is great. So improve that you are able to mentor others and also hire others is really important. And I think it's rewarding. I interview a lot of people as a manager, but also the solutions architects in my team get to interview lots of people. And these are also always very, relaxed conversations in which we try to understand the candidate's background rather than, in the end, this is behavioral-based questions. So you are asked questions about your past so we can understand you better, but these are not like high tension interviews. Usually they are quite relaxed. And as I said, that's the third area in which we evaluate essays contributing to our teams. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have two questions. One from, I think it's Isa, who was wondering whether or not it's possible to join your team as a working or maybe not a full-time student, but someone who's currently studying, if I understand correctly. And then do you need to have prior experience to apply for the AWS Tech U from Albana?
Yeah, I'll take that one. For actually students who are still finishing their studies, we have a program which is called internships, and actually we are onboarding some interns in multiple locations in EMEA this summer. Usually this will be aimed at candidates who are starting their last year in university. And we do that because we offer them a 12-month internship. I can send more details, and I'll even publish this in the alumni platform if we have any candidates like this who can be interested. So it's a 12 around 12-week program. It depends on some countries. In the Middle East, I've seen internships that take a full year. And then the start date also changes from April to August. And this is a first point of contact with the industry for, as I said, students who are still, needing to complete their studies. During that period, they will also have some kind of project-based learning depending on the team and their skills. And the idea is to offer them an opportunity to work on their AWS certifications. We didn't touch much on AWS certifications, but these are official exams that, they are well known in the industry and basically certify that you can build services on top of the AWS. Our customers and partners obtain these certificates, but also our internal employees need to catch up with them. So as I said, learning is a key part, and internships is the first part, right? When it comes to TechQ and to the second question on previous experience, usually we are looking for students that are that have a good understanding of IT or any STEM background, and that can and have that passion towards learning. I think the main point for us is not showing that you have experience. If you have some, that's okay, but it's not a requirement for the role. We are looking for individuals that are motivated towards learning.
Thanks, Francisco. So we have you've mentioned to us that there's a lot of working from home that happens at AWS. But in terms of customers, do you actually travel to meet them in person, or is it again done virtually?
I can take this one. Well, of course, it's depending on the customers. We are seeing signals of customers wanting to pick up a bit of travel of meeting in person. But in my team, for example, these are strategic meetings. We don't go there just for the sake of, being there. Most of our customers are still implementing a working from home policy. So signals are saying that's picking back up, but generally a solutions architect will travel to meet customers. Most likely so far is to meet other Amazonian people and to align internally. But we cannot predict what the future is going to be like. But there is no there is no mandated presence at the customer like you would think, for example, in a consultancy role or things like that. This is not what we do. So yeah, there is an expectation, but it's very hard to predict.
Thank you, Luca. Okay, so I will do it for Giordano. So do Amazon hire managers from outside the company, or would you try and develop them and grow them into that role internally?
I think we have both cases. And as a matter of fact, there's a role open in my team for a new SA manager, like, my role and Lucas. This is based in Dubai. So if we have anyone here who is able to relocate to Dubai and speaks Arabic, because we want somebody who can engage locally with customers, that's an opportunity. And I joined AWS externally, and I joined directly as an SA manager. My role at CERN was not that of a people's manager. It was more of a tech lead, running a small project with interns, students, and the likes. So Amazon gave me that opportunity to continue ramping up. But we also see cases of solutions architects that spend some time in the role, and there's a structured process for them. If they want to experience first what it's like to be a manager, they can transition to a team lead role if they have the approval from their manager. But also, if they feel like that's not for them, because managing a team of people, it's sometimes intensive, right? Especially you need to meet your team frequently. And we have a philosophy in Amazon that it's called 2 pizza teams. That's funny because we don't have teams larger than what could be fed with 2 large pizzas. So that means that your manager will be working with you very actively in your career development. I meet each of the SAs in my team at least once every 10 days or so. But then we have regular contact on projects and so on. So we do that thanks to, bringing new managers every time our teams grow over a certain limit. And that's why you will constantly see on our website that we have open roles both for SAs, solutions architects, and SA managers.
Great, thank you, Francisco. So we have a question or a few questions from Clara. I don't know if Clara would like to come on cam and ask her questions.
Yeah, thank you,
Great,
Rachel.
thank you.
So first of all, sorry because I've been very late. So I had to be in another meeting. So Luca and Francisco, please skip my questions if you have already talked about it with the others. So first about the recruitment process. When we start it, are we applying for a specific role and location known beforehand, or is that determined just by you guys much later in the process, and we just know that by the end of it?
So I can take a look at this one. So this is interesting because again, I would have had an answer 2.5 years ago, and now it's a completely different one. We need to have a position anchored to a location. Again, we do have a relocation process if it's needed, but at the end of the day, we do have to hire on where Amazon has offices. This means that there is a guidance or where we put this location because there is a business need for that. For example, for my roles, I have Brussels office as a main role, but for candidates and for the right candidates, we might be able to locate this role in European, for example, in the European space. Again, we want to also balance the life of the candidates. So as much as it's technically possible, someone who's maybe based in the east coast of the US working for European institutions, not the best solution for work-life balance. So at the end of the day, mixing up with all the travel that might be involved, plus the activities and the intensity that we see, the location and where the candidate wants to work from, has to be an open conversation about what is feasible, right? A travel intense job, which might or might not be the case, it requires maybe a 3-hour flight every time you want to meet with your peers or you want to meet with customers, is going to have an impact on the long-term capabilities or the long-term happiness of this person. Myself, I'm based in Paris. It's a 90 minutes ride from Brussels. Is a 2 hours ride to Geneva. I can manage that via train. If I were based in Italy, where I'm originally from, it would have been also possible. But for example, if I look at my previous role when I was based in Ireland, it's a bit more challenging because I would always take the flight. I would always have an airplane to consider. 3 hours, 2.5 every time, every week, maybe to meet my team. On the long run, it affects you. So we have to make these considerations, but the process has the flexibility to allow for different locations, and of course the hiring manager has a decision for that. So different roles have different business requirements. I'm talking from my perspective. Francisco has a different perspective. Every other team has a different perspective. So that's only my side of the pie, I would say.
Yeah, just to add to that, and thanks, Luca, for answering this question. For me, as I said initially, we operate from the Madrid hub, which I started, the Dublin hub, which was existing before I joined the company. But now we're also considering a more flexible hiring strategy, especially when we think that we are trying to bring to Madrid or Dublin Finnish-speaking solutions architects, Dutch-speaking solutions architects. They might be hard to find. So in some cases, we are moving to hiring in country. So, I'd say if you say that you have the right skills for the role and the location doesn't match your expectations, there can be an open discussion with you and the recruiting team in the first stages. And depending on how urgent the role needs to be filled, and any other value that you bring to the process, any unique characteristics you have as a candidate, we can work around those. It's just for legal reasons that we need to publish our positions with a location tied to them, and some teams like to have a team based in the same location, because it's true that we learn a lot from each other. Even if we don't meet that often now in the office, it's good also for team building, for the team morale, to be able to, now that we are able to do that, to go out to dinner with the team and meet for social activities.
Okay, thanks a lot for the answers. I think it's flexible enough. And I also wanted to know, because sometimes it's linked to this, how long does the process take in order we make all these decisions on time? 2 weeks, 2 months?
Well,
How many phases?
actually, this is a good question. I think on average, the whole process end to end from application to result is a function of also the availability of the candidate and the panel interviewer. So there is a bit of flex in that. Around 6 weeks tops, I would say. Francisco, what's been your experience?
Yeah, I think, well, it also depends on your availability as a candidate. So the first stage is, to have your CV validated by a member of the recruitment team. Then they will be in contact with you and try to schedule the first stages. That can change depending on the role. It usually starts with some kind of online test or phone screen, which is a call with one of our solutions architects. But what we know is that after that, we consider candidates to be our main customers. So we want to create a good impression with you. In the end, you are potentially consuming Amazon services, and we want your experience as a candidate to be the best possible. So in that regard, we have a commitment to deliver you the return, after your phone screen in 2 days, and after the final stage in 5 days. So we don't keep you waiting for, weeks, just trying to know if you've been hired or not. So yeah, I think, that simplifies the process. And whenever we find a good candidate, we see them move into the process in a quite agile way.
Great. Yeah, thank you. Then the next questions are more about the team dynamics and day-to-day work. So just maybe it varies a lot from your different teams, but how big is a team normally? How many developers? Is there a product owner? Is there a product manager? Is there what is the structure and the number of members?
Yeah, I was looking at your question. This is really, if you think through a software development team, which we are not.
Okay,
So,
totally sorry then, because I totally arrived late, etc., etc. Okay, so this was all about developer roles, because that's what I am. But okay, then never mind. Fine, thanks.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no problem, Clara. Feel free to reach out through the alumni platform, and I can sync you with some hiring managers that might have open roles for software development.
Carlos has put in the chat as well.
On top of it, yeah.
Okay.
So look in the chat, Clara, and you can talk to Carlos.
Okay,
I just popped up quickly because I was actually joining as a third in all this from a service team doing all this software development for the network. So it depends. They already mentioned that 2 bits a team size normally is the good size. We usually have a spectrum of different backgrounds in software, network engineers, system engineers. So from that perspective, we don't have dedicated Scrum owners, if you will, or Scrum masters or something like this. It depends really on the teams. Sometimes people prefer to do Kanban, sometimes people prefer to do Scrum, but it would be self-managed. The manager tends to be a bit of the contact person, but we want not to be like individuals are actually encouraged to be the owners of pieces of the products. Most of the times we don't own, just our team doesn't own a single product. Most of the times we have a lot of microservices that contribute to the bigger architecture. So from that perspective, just link it to the second question would be, we push as quick as we need to. So most of the pushing is actually automated, and you can push n times a day, 1 time a week. There are constraints to that about how that actually needs to follow our operational excellence models. But in general, that would depend really on what you do, the criticality of the service, the criticality of the push, the risk that of what you're doing actually.
Okay, great. And may I ask you as well if these development and deployment pipelines are built on commercial solutions, or is it Amazon-made software that you use for your own?
Well, Amazon is very, very big, so I can tell the internal tooling is very tailored, is built internally. We also use AWS tooling So much of the push also is based on AWS. We are also a native AWS, depend on the service. Some services do have a dependency loop, but most of the times you use internal tooling and AWS as well.
Okay, thank you. And
thanks, Carlos, for jumping in there. So we've just gone beyond 12 o'clock. So we have one last question, if that's okay with everybody, from Anastasia. If you'd like to come on cam and ask your question, please feel free to go ahead.
Thank you, Rachel. So you mainly answered to it through Clara's questions, but I just have a question regarding the AWS TechU. So is it something like an internship or more like a full-time job? And what can we expect after it? And what is like, so is it for 6 months or can it be longer? So if you can answer, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Anastasia. Actually, yeah, maybe I didn't explain that correctly, so it's a good opportunity for me to clarify. It's a full-time job. So in the end, we hire through TechU, but we are hiring solutions architects. So in the end, we are giving, our new hires that opportunity to be disconnected from the day-to-day work for the first 6 months, just doing training, and we have these candidates joining in cohorts, so they usually join either virtually or in the locations that we currently have in EMEA, in Madrid and Manchester, and they can they will be working together in a lot of project-based work, so you get to collaborate with other candidates or other residents during that period. And after that, this is a full-time job and it's paid from the first month. So in the end, we just consider that to be the training phase. After that, if you're successful throughout the program, of course, like any training program, there are some milestones to achieve, which are mainly to obtain the first and the second AWS certifications, along with, ramping up on technical knowledge. Then these candidates will eventually join my team, in which they are allowed some 3 extra months for continuing ramping up on that part I mentioned, which was soft skills, working with customers, presentation skills, learning more about public sector, which sometimes, we also need to know a bit about the industries that we work with. So if you're meeting a healthcare customer, you probably want to understand how the medical imaging world works. If you're meeting an education or research customers, you might want to learn about high performance computing, and so on, right? So in the end, this is a full-time job right from the start.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, and feel free to reach out on the alumni platform. I saw you had some questions around locations, so we can work around those if you're interested in applying.
Okay, sure. Thanks.
Thanks again to Luca and Francisco. We really appreciate it. Thanks to everybody for joining us, and we'll see you all soon.